Hey guys, this is Edo Ninja, and I guess you could say that this is my semi-welcome back to YouTube type of video, especially with this type of content. That actually hits real different now that I say that out loud, and, well, here I am recording this video, not podcast. Shit, that hits really different, oh my god. Anyways, I'm pretty sure for those that have been following this channel, you might have some questions, especially with, oh my god, Edo Ninja uploaded a fucking YouTube video, what is this? We'll get right into it though, but first, let's talk about why Neo The World Ends With You failed, okay? So let me clarify this, okay? When I said Neo The World Ends With You failed, I'm not talking about the quality of the game itself. I'm talking about as to what Square Enix was expecting out of this game to perform. Now, there is a small factor that have not enjoyed the new sequel, and that is okay. But to the fans that have been following this game from the very beginning, like, the support for this game is not so lightweighted. It's very heavy, actually. Here's the thing. The problem is not the fans. The problem is Square Enix itself. I'm very glad that I waited to make this video because originally I was going to publish this right before the Game Awards, but a lot of things has happened for the past couple weeks. And now we have some new information that came by like almost on a weekly basis. I'm just going to basically put them all together in a pack in this video just to go in order as to how this made me upset, and I'm sure most of you that are watching this video right now, you could most certainly understand my frustration. So where does this begin? Let's start with the Game Awards. I'm fairly sure that everyone is aware of this, but let's just start from there. Surprised or not, unfortunately, Neo The World Ends With You was not in the Game Awards this year. There were debates among the community that the reason why it may have not been there was because that it's not that big, it didn't have that much support in comparison to the games that are featured in the Game Awards. But there's one problem that I have with that argument. There were games that I've never, ever have heard of once in my life. Some of those titles were kind of just as of recent, but like, I've never heard of these titles, and how did they get in? I don't understand that. And then there was also Shin Megami Tensei 5. I don't understand how that got it, especially the fact that it just came out and it's already in the Game Awards. Like, I don't exactly understand the process as to what games, developers, composers are qualified to be in the nominees. Like, what is this process? I need to be explained to this like I'm 2 years old, because I don't get it. I could go on and on regarding my issues with the Game Awards, which of course many people could resonate with this though, but the most important thing to talk about right now is Neo The World Ends With You. So, moving forward with that, right after the fact that fans found out the game was not in the Game Awards, literally the next day, this drops. Neo The World Ends With You underperformed and didn't meet the initial expectations according to Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda. Really? Really now? The fact that this was said a little bit of some time after that there was a no-show for Neo in the Game Awards. The fact that this came out to the public like that. My question is, how did you sit down with the marketing team to market this game and were satisfied and approved that these were the plans for Neo The World Ends With You to be marketed out there to the public? What did you think was going to happen? Let's review this, shall we? So, while they were advertising the final remix of The World Ends With You, the anime, all those sorts, eventually they had a countdown on their website which pretty much teased for the sequel. Once that countdown was over, a trailer dropped, then Nintendo had their trailer up out to the public. Months later, in a trailer, they revealed when the game is going to come out. And then later, they dropped the opening movie for Neo The World Ends With You. And definitely, I can't forget about this, but definitely, mistakenly, because for some reason, Square Enix has a pattern of doing this. But they have their final trailer, as they usually label it with some games, Kingdom Hearts, anyways. They usually label it final trailer, and usually whenever they label something final trailer, there's lots of spoilers in it. Even like the very big ones, there's many spoilers.
Did it turn up the heat? To an extent it did. Not a whole lot though.
Then they ended off with the game being released.
It's not really a whole lot. The worst part is that if you were to go on YouTube,
by the way, I recommend not doing this for people that have not finished or played the game yet though, but for users that have completed the game or do not care about spoilers, if you search up NTWEWY trailers, you're going to see a lot of Nintendo. You're not going to see so much of other platforms promoting this game.
especially the one platform that is very important to market their own game, Square Enix. You hardly see Square Enix when you search that game up. Like, Square, what are you doing? That is your game right there. Why are you leaving up to Nintendo that could care not that much about your game? Why are you leaving it up to another company to market this game for you while you're sitting there and doing nothing?
Now, of course, into the intervals where there were no news of Neo The World Ends With You between the trailers, there was a little bit of gameplay showcase, but
doesn't go that far. And there was also a demo, but that's it. We waited almost a whole year for this game, and it didn't have that much trailers. It didn't have that much marketing, especially from the one company you'd think they would market the game, since they've claimed that this was their passion project game. How? Like, I can understand to an extent that Square Enix, they're mostly known for the Kingdom Hearts franchise and Final Fantasy. I get that. We can't exactly speculate and try to point fingers to say whose fault this was though, but it's almost hard not to do that because, like, how much budget did you have for the marketing for this game? Because, like, you guys go all out with these games, but then when it comes to The World Ends With You, especially that they claimed that they wanted this to do better, especially for the expectations that they had set for it, they might as well have put in a little bit more budget and time to make this work out well in their favor, but they didn't do that.
And this part,
unfortunately, it brings me nothing but pain.
And to an extent, it does make sense. However, it just does not feel right. The good news is that they released this game on PC. The bad news of how long it took and how much of a ghost town it had to ensure that it was in proper care, it just kind of shadow dropped the news of, like, oh yeah, it's coming out within a few days or a week. Like, what?
And the worst part about this, I'm sorry if I keep saying the worst part about it though, but it's just so bad at how many times I've said this in this video. But the worst part is that they released it on Epic Games Store. I understand why they did this though. It's because that they struck a deal with Epic Games to assist the development for Kingdom Hearts 3. I get that much of it. And because of this, Epic Games wants to be in the competition with Steam. But this is the reality here. Nobody just downloads Epic Games to download games. Nobody. Mostly people go there for Fortnite, and now mostly for the reason of getting Kingdom Hearts games on PC. That's really much of it. There's not really much else going on for Epic Games. With Steam, it's the main platform, and it's big. They have a lot more going on than Epic Games does, and that's the reason why it's big right now. And especially the sales that they usually promote, it's big. So why not take advantage of the big platform and put your passion project game on Steam? Why not put it there? If you did in the first place, because that's like the largely downloaded platform for people to get games, I'm very certain that the sales, the numbers would increase. Not by a minuscule amount, but a shit ton! And ooh boy, do not get me started with E3. I do not want to talk about E3 this year. This year's E3 for Square Enix was not it, dog. I don't care if you're excited for the games that they were promoting out there on E3, but it was just not it. At E3, they decided to talk for 40 minutes of our time about their Marvel game that they're so proud of. And then there's Neo that literally got no recognition, no show, nothing. And it was releasing in the following month. How? How are you just going to say this and boldly act surprised? And we're not done yet here. That's not even the end of this, because there's more, and this is gonna go into more reasons as to why I waited to make this video, because now I'm gonna talk about the other 2 points. The next thing is, in an interview, the producer, Tomohiko Hirano, frankly speaking, he says, nothing has been decided in terms of a next installment. However, as a game based on an actual city, there are still many areas that we still haven't been able to bring life in the games, so a part of me wants to realize that in some way. If players convey
their passion for the game to us, our company may decide to let us make a sequel.
I want to sit here and play doubt, or maybe I'm just not seeing this because again, like I'm just a fan, like many other people are. Like we don't know the numbers though, but it's just like considering of like what they did and as to what we know, you're gonna sit here and just say you're gonna say this? Since you refuse to market this game any further, we fans have to do that for you for free, volunteered. Like, the most they did, like, this game has not even been out for a year. It hasn't even been out for a year, and they're already, like, putting sales on this game, like, 50% off, and it's just, like, that you're not putting that much effort into it. Like, that's great that you're making it cheaper for, like, a limited time, or maybe for a long time, because God knows it didn't perform well, but it's just, like, we're doing this work for you. Again, out of our own free time. We're doing the best that we can, though, but you at the end of the day, you're the company that's doing this. Like, are you guys out of the budget for marketing this game? Are you guys working on some other things? Like, I'm trying to understand this because it's really hard for a company to operate all this because they have so many things going on, especially for how big Square Enix is, though. But if this is one of their passion projects that they enjoy so much, give it more of that love. Give it more of that attention. Take that risk. What are you doing? And there are fans that have been there since the very beginning. They've been showing that support for so many years. Let's not forget about The World Ends With You being in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. A lot of people were hoping that there would be some miraculous way that there will be a continuation. There will be ports, all these things. And it took many years for that. Like, the original characters were in Kingdom Hearts. And it's a big franchise. How? And this is said again in another interview, which I do want to talk about this part specifically. And before I do that, if you don't want to be spoiled by the first game or Neo, this is your warning right now that's going to appear onto the screen. You can skip ahead of this video as to where it said it's going to skip to. You can skip it and the rest of it won't be spoilers though. But however, this is your warning now. Okay, so the director of the games, Tatsuya Kanado, apparently he mentioned that he wants to depict when Tsugumi was a Reaper and the disappearance of Shinjuku. If the fan desire to know is strong enough, maybe he will have the opportunity to tell that story. I'm just surprised as to how bold they are to say all this. Like, I'm not trying to, like, give flame to the director himself, though, but it's just like, after the events of both of those games, of course there's going to be some type of desire because the issue is that some of the Shinjuku Reapers did not have enough screen time. Like Hishima, we didn't see anything of him until the third week. It would have been so great to see the relationship developing between Ayano and Shoka because the issue of this is that Neo takes place 3 years after the first The World Ends With You. And in between there are Shinjuku events, and they do a lot of talking as to what happened, as to how the events ended up here and now. It would be better if they were to actually show that with another game to expand on the characters even more. Because here's the thing. Me personally, this is just my biasness speaking, but I'm a bigger fan of the Shinjuku Reapers more than Shibuya Reapers. And apparently, like in the story, they talk about as to how that city was completely destroyed. So they had to take refuge in Shibuya. Like, they just came out of nowhere. I would love to see more character expansion on all these Reapers, and maybe the players too. The series does a great job of connecting the story, so I don't think telling that story would be a problem. Why? Because the fan desire is there! Sorry. Composure. Pardon me. Now, all that aside, I don't think Square Enix realizes that they set up their sequel game up for failure. However, even though it's in that grim state, it's actually not too late to change all that. If they were to actively market their game, if they create a dedicated Twitter account for The World Ends With You, since they've been talking about that they want to make this into a bigger franchise and create much more of a franchise series with more titles, all these things. If they do that, then maybe, just maybe, the numbers will grow and they will actually be able to see where the support is coming from, and it's not so small.
But what do I know? Like, what do I actually know? I'm just merely a fan that just criticizing Square's questionable decisions of how they market Neo The World Ends With You, and I do want it to succeed, but I mean, at the end of the day, what do I know? We don't know a whole lot, unfortunately. Maybe we do, but like, based on to what we've seen, not a good look.
I think I'm all burnt out from all that ranting for what I've talked about today, so before I sign off this video, I owe you guys a little bit of an update. If you've been following me closely, you guys recently know that I used to have a podcast, Storm Connect podcast, and that recently came to an end, and here I am making a YouTube video. What does this mean? What's going on here, Ado? Here's the thing, right? YouTube has been a huge battle for me for many of these years, and of course, I have not genuinely uploaded a YouTube video like this since 2019, maybe 18, most likely 19. For some reason, I have been having the urge as to wanting to come back because I actually love doing this, and even though that the podcast business was actually kind of fun, I actually miss doing this. Doing the video making, it was actually a lot more fun than what I actually remembered. So, does this mean I'm back? To an extent, yes, but not in the way that you think. I don't have an upload consistent schedule for you guys to look forward to. You guys are just gonna see an upload whenever you see an upload to an extent. However, I do have big plans that I've been planning since the beginning of my YouTube journey, and I didn't want to start it until the right time showed up, and that time is showing up next year. And I'm very, very, very excited for it. You'll have to see it for yourselves when the time is right. I do highly suggest that you follow this YouTube channel more closely than ever now, and also onto my Twitter. The only hint I'm going to give you guys for right now of what this is, you guys have technically seen this, you just don't know of what that is. But hey, if you got the eyes, then you definitely know what I'm talking about. If not, well, you'll see in time. But this is a huge dream that I've been having since the very beginning, and I'm excited that I'm actually going to be taking the very first steps towards to it. That's all I can really say. I really want to say more than this though, but I can't. But I just hope you guys are in for this long ride, because it's going to be a very lengthy ride, of course. Like, I'm talking about years, but hopefully things go well to the way of how I have set things up. And for those of you that have been here for a very long time, even from the beginning, back to the time that I did Kingdom Hearts content, or even Naruto content, all those sorts, I just want to thank you for your continued support and the fact that you believe in me and that you're still here. I truly, really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait for you guys to see of what this next big thing is going to be. I believed I played my role here, so the only thing I really have to say is I highly encourage you to go check out Final Weapon. They have strong coverage towards to Japanese gaming and culture of anime that you guys will most certainly be interested in. They're very quick to publishing out the news, and they're always reliable, so I highly encourage you guys check them out. And of course, but not least, please play The World Ends With You. At least give that shit a try. And of course, if you can, Neo The World Ends With You is 50% off right now, and it's been like that for quite some time. Get it. And with that, I bid you adieu.